Disclaimer: the content provided in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. While we discuss topics related to mental health advice, life wisdom, and alike, the opinions expressed are personal views of the hosts and do not constitute professional, legal, or medical advice. We make no representations or warranties about the accuracy or completeness of the information discussed. Any action you take based on the information in this podcast is strictly at your own risk, and we are not liable for any losses or damages in connection with its use. Additionally, this podcast may contain discussions around addictions, substances, which are intended for adult audiences. We do not endorse any illegal activities. Please consult your local laws before engaging in any actions related to this content. By listening to this podcast, you agree that you are over the age of 18 or the age of majority in your jurisdiction and understand the terms of this disclaimer.
Welcome to the Balancing Forces podcast, where two opposites collide in the best way possible. One brings the fire,
the other keeps it chill.
But together we share life's lessons, hard-earned wisdom,
advice you can actually use.
Whether you need a fresh perspective or just a laugh, we're here to elevate your mind. So buckle up, because things are about to get real and
really funny.
Are you ready to level up your astrology game? Join the Alchemist Laboratory by Solar Systems. For just $33 a month, you get access to 10+ courses, a resource library, manifestation secrets, live Q&As, and so much more. Over $2,300 in value. Transform your understanding of astrology and unlock hidden knowledge. Sign up now through the school app and follow Solar Systems on TikTok and Instagram.
Chapter 23, Your Life Messages Part 1. So, let me ask you a question. Actually, I'll ask it, then give you a few examples from my own life, then let you answer it. It's a simple question, but it requires a bit of digging on your part, perhaps, even ruminating over it for a while. So the question is this: what were the one or two biggest messages you got during childhood about the world and life, but especially about you? I got three main messages growing up. One at home. I consistently heard this message from my parents and siblings: Sven is special, but don't compliment Sven, he'll get a big head. They likely had gotten sick of my bragging and didn't want to fan the flame. But of course, the kid who is at least hearing how good he is the one whose soul most needs to proclaim to the world his goodness and greatness. A death spiral ensues. The more he brags, the more he pushes away the people who bear the message he most needs to hear. The second message I got at school, but not at home, was, Sven, you're different, be normal. A few great teachers, even principals, encouraged my originality. Mr. Bizwiski, Mr. Shamas, Miss Kelly, Miss Brown, and later Mr. Liu, Mr. Santon, and Joe Frank. But many teachers and principals didn't know what to do with it, and so forced normality onto my soul. The third message I got, hammered into me, was in my early 20s from my wife, closest brother, and father. Get a job, 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 get a job. Nothing seemingly mattered outside of this. What's really fascinating, however, about the messages we get is that even when the intent of the message is well-intentioned and not always malicious, there's almost invariably an insidious underlying message that does real, long-term damage. These messages get pressed into the wet cement of our soul. So, in those three messages I got, there were also three underlying messages. In the first one, don't compliment Sven, the message is that the family, comfort is more important than the feeding of the child's soul with the necessary affirmations of his value and importance. So, the kid, in this case, me, grows up hungry, spiritually, without food, taught that he doesn't matter enough to be given what he needs, what every kid needs: praise. That's often a commodity in short supply in larger families. The kid, deep down, then easily translate this implicit message into the family matters, but I don't. And there is no message more deleterious to the soul than this one. This is the bottom and most lethal binary gate. In the second message is the implicit message: different is bad, normal is good. You're bad, be good. And it's that you're bad or no good or not good enough that really does lasting damage. It disinclines a person to show the world who they really are, to be real, to follow their own happiness. It tunes a child into others and or adults to tell them who to be in order to get approval, in order to be told, you're good. This is the very powerful middle binary gate, yet it is also a statement that the real you is ultimately irrelevant, i.e., the real you doesn't matter, which is also the third or bottom binary gate. In the third message, get a job, is not just good, it's ridiculously obvious advice, but also an underlying message. What your soul really longs to do, if it deviates from or somehow impedes having a job, is essentially irrelevant, or at least greatly subordinate to your capacity to earn money, and your identity and purpose are defined, above all else, by your ability to earn money. The underlying message is that who you really are doesn't matter. What matters is what we and society say you should do. Again, another example of closing that third binary gate: the real you doesn't matter. So you see, we are constantly in both childhood and adulthood receiving messages about the value and even the existence of our own self and soul. Every message is loaded. Every one of us has had the experience of knowing what someone was really saying beneath their words or between the lines, whether that message was intended or not. Often the message is very intentional, even if the speaker of it denies it. Often it's unintentional, and, as will be discussed later, often it runs directly and insidiously counter to more explicit, pretty messages. We are each constantly being battered by these underlying messages, and hearing and heeding your own true voice demands both identifying and rooting out these messages. Unless you are deliberate about your core beliefs, creating boundaries around them, and creating a life that reinforces them, you will forever be buffeted by the messages and influences of others, particularly those strong influences and power sources from your past, and that never leads to happiness, love, and greater aliveness. Journaling recommendations. 1. So, what were the most powerful messages that you received growing up? 2. And as you consider those messages you received, begin to poke around and consider what the real underlying messages were. Remember, a child's mind converts all messages, even when the most benign, into some judgment of his or her existence. Do you remember the NCAA coach in chapter 15? Are you sure? And how that message of his childhood undermined his success as an adult? 3. So, what were the underlying messages? Usually, the underlying messages are some derivative of you are not wanted, you're no good or not good enough, and you don't matter. 4. What does it feel like to see these conveyed to you in your past? How have those core messages undermined your life? 5. Do you desire to have those messages removed from your life and replaced with new, life giving ones?
How awesome is this? This is going to be the book we're going to be giving away. It is an autographed copy as well. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, share this out with your friends. At the end of the series, there will be a giveaway for a copy of your own book. Thank you.